right, welcome everybody back to another episode of the Big Doug and Carmi Show, your one-stop shop for all things Commanders. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification button so you never miss an episode like today's with our good buddy Rio Robinson. Rio, what's happening, brother?
What's going on, man? We didn't had another fun NFL draft to talk about with Adam Peters and company, but even more importantly, the draft feels like a backstop because we just announced our stadium deal with the District of Columbia to return to where all the glory took place at RFK. And they gave us a lot of information and even a little unofficial picture so far. So today is a beautiful day to be a Commanders fan.
The only thing they could have done to top today was drop the New Jerseys.
Yep, I said that too. It would have been
like a Twitter would have just melted down and drizzled it down a drain somewhere if they'd have dropped a jersey today. Yes, the information on the stadium is incredible. Josh Harris and company putting their money's where their mouth is. I mean, it'll be the largest privately funded situation in DC ever at $2.7 some billion. And so people that were worried that DC wouldn't get in, I think a lot less worry needs to happen now. The draft did happen. That was the plan for today. We will still get there, obviously. But I mean, the stadium is top priority. I can't imagine one ownership group, and I know Josh Harris gets to sit at the front of it, accomplishing more in 24 months.
Never seen it before.
This guy, right? Real, I remember being on stream with you at like 7 in the morning when they dropped the Commanders, right? When Jason, when they look at Doug Williams and like, Commanders.
Hey, Doug, what is it? He said, we the Commanders.
Yes, a long way from there. I think a lot of people thought DC would never happen. DC would have never happened. So thank you, Josh Harris and the Hog Group. Rio, please tell the people that are still upset that the name won't change to move on. Can we do that? Can you give us an impassioned 3 minutes on why
3 minutes
to stop wasting our damn time worrying about the name?
At this point, people are they're just gonna do what they're gonna do. It's not going anywhere. I miss my relatives that I've lost. There are a lot of things in my life that I loved at some point, and when they're gone, they're gone. And currently that name is dead and stinking. The colors are here to stay. We're about to bring the success and the glory back. We just had the best season of our lives. I'm a 33-year-old. That was the best season of my entire life. This ownership group has come in and hired good people, adequate people, business-minded people, and they get out of the way. And the quarterback that we currently have here is already top 5 in the NFL after 1 year in the league. You can't ask for anything better than this. They're returning the stadium to where it all began, back where y'all used to shake the stands in the stadium. The name is not coming back. The uniforms are not going to look exactly what they used to be, but they're going to do more things to pander to those that are still crying about it. But the name is not coming back, y'all. We all need to let it rest, but you don't need to take it from me. You keep fighting the good fight, but if you're a real fan of this team, it's the people that make the organization. It's the team. It's the sport of football. I think football gets lost in a lot of these conversations sometimes. And if you're rooting against a franchise because the logo's not the same, no one's telling you not to wear your old stuff. No one's telling you that the old name is even a slur. It's just not what the team is called, but you can feel free to call the team whatever you like. But we're moving out of this dump in a couple years, and we're going to be in a state-of-the-art translucent roof stadium with a cityscape poking out the back end zone. Life is swell to be a Commanders fan right now. There's no negativity that I could dwell on April 28th, 2025.
George, 65,000 seats. It will have the glass roof on it. I've been told don't expect it to be retractable. When you do the research on that, the juice isn't worth the squeeze. That thing gets opened up like 4 times a year, and it's very expensive. So for those wanting that indoor-outdoor feel, you'll get it with the cool-ass roof. They're not gonna I don't think they'll do
Yeah.
track.
The sun going to hit, you know what I'm saying? The rays not going to beam on you as hard as with no top, but you know, it's going to be a roof on it.
For
Hey,
sure.
come December when it's 20 degrees outside, sitting out there off the Anacostia, it might be nice to have a roof.
Absolutely.
And also, George, you're there. Well, both of you are. I mean, it's still hot as hell in September in DC. You know,
That's
what I
what
mean?
that's what I was gonna say. Like, as a fan that goes, I'm a season ticket holder, and as a fan that goes to every single game, it's a blessing to be in a dome stadium. I know that whole nostalgia, like, oh, I want that winter weather in my face. I want it to rain on me. You got to be in the elements. As a fan sitting there for 4 hours, it's cold as hell. It's miserable. It's not fun. I mean, I guess you can watch it on TV. It's a little bit entertaining in that regard. But I'd much rather be in a climate-controlled arena. I could take my jacket off and relax, not have to worry about anything. We don't have to have a huge winter coat on. It's just going to be awesome. And the fact that that's just not just fall football, the fact that we can go all year long in Final Fours, the Super Bowl, the World Cup, major concerts, all this stuff, it's going to be fantastic.
WrestleMania to the district, I bet.
Yep, WrestleMania. For sure. They had WWE on that pamphlet. They put out a few different graphics on it, and they had it on there.
World Cup friendly games, to your point, even if, you know, the World Cup's probably, you know, decades off from actually being available again, but those friendlies happen all the time, and they hit. So now 8,000 parking spots, George, means get your Metro card ready.
For sure, right? I saw the Metro card, but I also saw like the state-of-the-art Uber share or the ride share, like ability part of the stadium. That's dope, man. I think that's real cool. Like Rhea and I were talking before the show. There is a contingent of the fan base that's really angry about not having the tailgating, not necessarily having that, you know, the space to go out and grill. But I'm telling you what, there's gonna be so much entertainment there. You're not even gonna think about that anymore. Like, I don't know if you guys have been to other stadiums like around the country or other big venues like that. Like the Ravens walk, I go to Ravens. I went to a couple of Ravens games over the time. The Ravens walk is pretty cool, but I can imagine a 2030 version so much better, right? Having 92 walkable restaurants, going to happy hour, pregame with your boys before the game, grabbing
92.
92, grabbing a bucket of beer, grabbing a bucket of Corona, sitting by at a stadium. There's a river up, like if they clean up the river and have little boats going up and down that thing, it's gonna be awesome, man. Like, it's gonna be so much fun. It's not gonna be tailgating like we think, but we got to roll with the punches, as Rio kind of talked about. We complained about FedEx for years and years and years. We're gonna have the newest stadium in the NFL, which is going to be the best stadium in the NFL.
Did you hear? Did you hear what Josh Harris said at the press conference?
World.
He said this is going to be the best stadium in the country, in the world, man.
It's the nation's capital. We need that. I mean, why not here? You know what I'm saying? So it makes perfect sense. I think it's gonna change the game. So anyone that's not excited today, I don't know what to tell you.
That's right. And this is the future, I think, of the league and the way teams are. Like, it's a private equity firm, right? There's basically what the Hog Group is. Josh Harris runs it, just happened to be a fan of the team, so that worked out nice. And that's why you can put up 2.7 of your own money and say, don't worry about it. Now, George, you know what the problem is next, and people are going to talk about it. It'll be the PSLs next. And when we talked to Eric Flack some months ago about the new stadium and what it would involve, that's just the price of doing business now.
Absolutely.
How many people will it keep? Will it keep you from getting season tickets? And does that matter? Because you can still just buy your ticket, right? Like, that affects season ticket holders more than just the average fan that buys a ticket on Sunday.
I agree with that, right? So let's kind of address a couple things at one time, right? So Josh Harris is going to put $2.7 billion into the stadium, which is out of control, right? He should be putting that money up front. He's rich. There's 20 people in that majority group. He could basically, he has the money for it, and he's going to make it back so fast, guys. Like, I'm sure you already saw some of the tweets that are going around. The Super Bowl, right? The Super Bowl alone generates $1.2 billion in return going back into the money. So he's going to make it after two major events. He's going to make his money back.
Yep.
Going to PSL, that's going to hurt. I'm not going to lie. I think Josh Harris and Mitchell Rales, they're pretty sharp. Like, Mitchell Rales has a Glenstone Museum, which is pretty close. It's in the Potomac area. It's beautiful. I actually went there over spring break. It's for free for all people to attend because he wants to celebrate art for people that can't necessarily afford it, right? I think they have that mindset in the back of their mind. They're going to make their money back, but there's going to be financing. There's going to be a couple of year plans to kind of break it down to make it somewhat affordable for fans.
Payment plans, payment arrangements, and payment play. Might as well call the stadium Afterpay Superdome, because
layaway.
For all of us peasant folks that it's going to price out of the stadium, we're going to find a way to get in there. You heard about Coachella this year. 60% of the people that attended financed their way there. We're going to be financing these preseason and game tickets, man.
Absolutely. And Rio and I were talking before the show. Come hell or high water, whatever the hell happens, we're going to be there the first thing. Whenever those doors open, I'm walking through that door. If it's a preseason game, game week 1, whatever the hell it's going to be, I'm going to be there. I'm sure other people feel the same way, but hopefully as a season ticket holder, I got some sort of advantage, hopefully. But what I'm trying to get at is my full intention is to remain. I want to be a season ticket holder into the new stadium. It might not be the nice premium seats that I have now. I might have to bump up to another deck or something like that, but it doesn't matter, man. For me, it's fun. I'm having a good time. I'm watching the game. It's something I love. Something I got to share with my boys, so I'm all about it.
That first year, I may have to get season tickets for standing room only, just because I want whatever the perks of being the first is. We're probably going to get a little certificate. They might hit us with a little replica stadium like Allegiant did for the Raiders fans the year it came out. That first year, my name got to be on a season ticket for that new stadium, and they can get the payment arrangement ready, man. Go ahead, throw 24 months no interest on that thing real quick.
And he did say, I saw an interview that he did with 48, and he acknowledges that PSALs are going to be expensive, but that their mission is to make sure that the average fan still has an opportunity to have season tickets if they want to. Because I think it's important, right? Like, if you don't, then you end up with what Atlanta kind of had. I think the Rams found that early on. Like, it was just a corporate environment, and you lost all of that home field advantage that you're hoping to get back by being excited about going to RFK. It just prices out the more rowdy fans, I guess is the way to say that. The guys that aren't wearing suit and ties in a box.
Did y'all see the timeline for what they have scheduled for it?
Like the breaking of the ground and all the retail around there. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
What is it, Rio? I know we're talking about opening in 2030, but I hadn't seen the other.
Yeah. So the timeline goes as follows. Summer 2025 is when this summer they expect the council to fully approve it. Summer to fall 2025, it's when they start planning for parks, housing, and recreation. 2026 fall or winter is when they expect to break ground. Early 2029, they expect to break ground on the Plaza District and the stuff surrounding the stadium. 2030, they expect the ribbon cutting for the $89 million sportsplex for children and everything that they want in the stadium vicinity. And fall 2030, they expect to open up the stadium. So they have a full outline of this ready to go. They came fully prepared. The only thing we haven't got is the full hype video of features and the exterior of the stadium. Don't believe any of these AI generated stadiums that you're seeing. The only thing they showed is an interior of what they want the stadium to look like. Nothing's official.
Hey, Stickman's exterior thing was pretty slick though.
It did look good. It did look very good. It looked nice.
He made that, and that's not real, but it would not be terrible.
Hey, Doug, let me cycle through a couple of these comments over here. So Jefferson said Rio gonna have to shave his beard to get them tickets. What he said over there. Shout out to Jeff. Thank you for watching.
Yeah.
Alex said the ride share at FedEx was terrible. I think it's gonna be a whole other ball game. I think FedEx is the primitive old 1999 built stadium. I actually went to Universal Studios during spring break, down in Orlando. They actually have like a designated parking lot for a ride share. It's like a green lot, red lot, purple lot. You basically you type it in your phone and it's just like a running cycle. It's a well-built machine, and that's made a couple of years ago. So I think by the time 2030 rolls around, some engineers are going to have it unlocked. I think it's going to be a lot better than we got right now.
The current FedEx system runs about as smooth as the Pony Express. It's not very it's not very convenient. Uber drivers are going to make 7 figures when this stadium gets erected, man.
Did they say when the time was to bring the stadium down?
I didn't see that.
Is it on there? No. Because that'll be interesting, right? To see it come down.
I think they're negotiating that. You talking about DC or Maryland, Doug?
DC.
Yeah, so they've been trying to do it little by little, but for real, I don't know if you guys know this or not. There's like asbestos in that stadium, and there's large rats, like a rat infestation in RFK right now. So they're kind of working through all the legalities right now. So they've been trying to work on it for a couple of years. I don't know when the official day to take it down.
The rats wouldn't
Everything
keep
is
it from
wheels
bringing
up.
it down, but the asbestos would.
Yeah, everything is wheels up once they get all the final approvals from the council and from the city and stuff like that. Then the timelines might shoot up a little bit at that point.
I agree.
Mhm.
Alex said, did they design a show outside of the concert venue? I didn't see the actual. I don't see anything official yet.
That picture, that was the only official picture that came with it, was that one.
Inside.
And then there was this cool graphic with Jaden and Taylor Swift on it with all the different leagues and entertainment they want going. It was cool, man.
And the last comment from Jeep Commander: I grew up in the DMV, joined the Army, went to RFK when I was a teenager, never went to a game at FedEx because I never moved back to the DMV area, but I'll fly in for a new game at the new RFK.
I love that for you, man.
That's good to hear, man. I love that, man. Hell yeah.
You know what else you gotta love about this ownership group is that, like that Taylor Swift thing, they could have put anybody, but she refused to do concerts when Dan Snyder owned the team. So they're just real thoughtful about how they just humbly dig at the last group, which makes me personally laugh just a little bit. How much do you think those apartments go for?
Ooh-wee.
Dude, DC,
how do I get into a little studio next to the stadium?
At least $1 million, man. Even right now, like it was walking around, like 1.5, $2 million for DC property right now, right outside the stadium, would be out of control. More. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, man. Real, crazy. This stadium is going to be the centerpiece and epicenter of the nation's capital. I don't think people understand.
It's important to say that, Rio. You're right.
Yeah, sure. It's very important to say. This isn't just like I said. I put out a comment earlier when people were still debating whether there was going to be a roof on the stadium. I was like, this is not Buffalo. People come here. They expect big events to come here. Buffalo's never going to host the Super Bowl. They're never going to host any big world events. We are the nation's capital. We are Washington, D.C. So there was always going to be a climate-controlled new venue when we were to get one. So I'm excited, man. The translucent roof. Jason Wright told us years ago it was going to be a translucent roof, and people were not trying to listen to that.
He, we knew him a little bit better than most, and Rio, you knew him better than I did, but that dude took a lot of slack, and I get mistakes were made, but if you don't understand how important Jason was to us getting to this point right here, you don't understand ball, because it doesn't happen without Jason. It just doesn't. So
he's still in those rooms too.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah, right. Also, talk about still being in rooms. Did you notice Bob Meyer was still sitting at the table at the draft?
Oh, that's their guy, man. Like that
it surprised me a little bit. He was right there next to Adam Peters.
He was not just a friend of Adam Peters and just to help us get a GM and a coach. He seems like he's a part of all of this.
It is. I was stunned when I saw it, not in a bad way. I just was like, there's Bob Myers, who I thought totally was just
that's a thing
here to get us off the thing. But yeah, I mean, again, more smart people in the building is never a bad thing.
And Doug, to that end, he was there during the regular season too. But during pregame, they have a little like roped off section on the field, and all the VIPs kind of walk around and shake hands and all that kind of stuff. He'd be good at most of the games. So I don't know what role he's playing, but he definitely is a part of it.
He's like the unofficial other president of the organization right now, because he's a part of everything, man.
All right. Well, we did have a draft. Let's get to it.
We did, right?
Yeah, I promise. I swear. More guys got drafted than just Shador, too. Let's see. They go Connerly Jr. at 29. George, we had talked about this idea that offensive tackle was sneaky if one was there, particularly if a run on DNs went. The run on DNs went very early and very fast. I don't think the receivers they wanted were still there. I liked Connerly. Here's what I think we know more and more from each of these drafts. I think Simmons was the better prospect. He may have the higher floor. Now, don't get me wrong. People say if Connerly Jr. goes back to college this year, next year he's a top 5 pick. I get that. He's young, 21 years old. But the immaturity things that have popped up for Simmons is what I think really, like, the Commanders aren't doing that. People still said that Mike Green was on the board.
He was at 27. He went 2 picks before.
No, what I'm saying is he was still on. People try to tell me he was still on the Commanders board.
Yeah, like in the second round when we.
And I don't think he was ever on the board. Like if they liked him so much and he was as good as everybody said, it would have been easy to snag him. So I'm not sold that he was ever on the board. I thought it was interesting that Femi Oladeju went earlier than what a lot of other people think I thought. George, we try to tell people for a while now, too many people came on this show and told us, watch out, he's gone. That is a long way to get back to Connerly, where I think in the first 2 rounds they did something that was very important. So you draft a tackle, you get to kick him out to right because of Tunsil. Then you take Brandon Coleman from last year and move him to left guard, where everybody essentially thinks he is a better guard. You've immediately upgraded 2 positions on the offensive line now, 2 of them under 25. Sheriff comes back hopefully by October. Same thing they did in the second round. The ability to get Mike Sanders back into the nickel where they think he is. Look, people were upset. The Eagles cheated us. They got Cooper DeJean. I'm thinking, we got a better player than Cooper DeJean and Mike Sanders. They were asking him to play outside on the boundary.
We asked them to do so much more than Fangio asked Cooper DeJean to do, and he still eventually held it down. Yeah.
And so again, you're upgrading 2 spots with 1 spot, and both of those spots are really young guys. I mean, if Lattimore gives you anything close to 3/4 of the season, it's a huge move. And frankly, they need it because, I mean, what did they have after that in the cornerback room? A bunch of nickels, which, again, maybe the most important spot in the league right now in the secondary, but you got to have boundary corners. Particularly in this division.
And it makes the Jonathan Jones signing look so much better now that he's just depth. Now that we have our starting 3 with Amos and Marshawn on the outside, Mikey back to his home spot in the slot where he was a demon as a blitzer in college. We didn't get to do that with him last year because he had to play outside cornerback for us because our room was so direct. But now Jonathan Jones is an upgrade from Noah last year in Noah's spot, and Noah's still here too. We have a complete cornerback room now, guys.
No, 100%. And then Doug, to that end, we had Jim Nagy on our show, after the draft last year, if you remember, right? Him and I think Bill Belichick actually on TV said Mikey Sanders might be the best nickel cornerback in the NFL within the first 2 or 3 years, right? They actually said that specifically coming from the slot as Rio's talking about. He's going to be a great run defender. He's going to come up and he's going to put his nose in the run game. Mikey's a dog. I love him. And I think getting Trey Amos fills out our defensive back room is not a concern anymore. Going back to Connerly, what I want to hit on is like our whole fan base, I predicted it. Rio, I saw you predict it as well. Donovan Eziraki, we thought he'd be there at number 29. There were a couple of edge rushers that were still available there at 29, and Washington elected to take Josh Connerly. They're like, yo, he's by far the best person on the board. Let's go ahead with it. And after I did some film research with Mark Bullock the other day, dude, Connerly is smooth, man. He is athletic. He carries his body well. I don't want to sit out there because people, clickbait or whatever. He moves like Trent Williams out in open space. When they're doing screens, when they're doing those pitches, he's going to get ahead. He's going to get those blocking out there. He's very, very impressive, and he's technically sound. So Doug hit the nail on the head. Getting Connerly, it solidifies our offensive line. It gives us flexibility with Tunsil moving forward. It bumps Coleman inside. Our offensive line is very strong. And it did the same thing with our defensive backs with Trey Amos. And then last thing I'll say is I hope they did a good job with free agency, right? Getting Harris, getting Jonathan Jones, getting they had a guy from the Chargers, I forget his name, there's a tackle from the Chargers, offensive lineman. I don't know if you guys know the name off the top of your head, but like they were filling up like these pretty good positions on our team.
Was it Herbick?
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah,
Herbick. So we walked into the draft with like a high baseline, and they just added the talent to the room, which I like.
To mention Marshawn Lattimore counts as a draft pick. Debo Samuel counts as a draft pick. And the biggest acquisition of the entire offseason, Laramie Tunsil, counts as a draft pick, a couple draft picks at that point, to be exactly. So they did what they told us they were going to do. They did it their way, and they told us either one or two things about the edge position. One, they were not as high on the edge class as us fans were, or two, there is a corresponding move or plan at the position, or three, they are cool with Dietrich Wise and Jacob Martin and Cleveland Fair and company, Javonte Jean-Baptiste, because not a soul predicted a 10.5 sack season for Dante Fowler. Dante Fowler had went 5 straight non-productive years since his last double-digit sack season. He gets 10.5 sacks for this defense last year. They say, oh, Dietrich Wise is a better football player, not a liability against the run. We're good at the position. So it's either one of those. We have to trust their judgment at this point.
Yep. And George, you commented there's a couple of guys out there, free agency, that are still productive edge rushers situationally you could bring in. The other thing I thought was interesting, Mark Tyler posted this the other day. Percy Butler is now up to 245 pounds.
Wow, I didn't catch that.
To me, you put on another 5 pounds, I mean
240?
245.
Percy? Whoa.
Okay.
So which tells me maybe they've got eyes of moving him somewhere. You know, they tried with Jamin Davis. I understand that didn't work, but I mean, 245 is bigger than the modern. Hell, it's bigger than the modern linebacker at this point. It's certainly bigger than the modern safety. If that's the case, he adds an extreme amount of athleticism and burst to the edge, even if it's just situationally.
And I'll jump on that in a second. I want to give a shout out to Code Talker. Said, Rio, what's up? Code Talker said, what's up?
My boy.
And then Code Talker said, just discovered this podcast. Thanks for listening, man. I appreciate that. Definitely like and subscribe. So going back to that, like Percy Butler, I think there's going to be, I think they're looking, I don't want to say this because it's going to give you PTSD of Ron Rivera, but they're looking for that Buffalo nickel again. And I think they want, I think they want that, George. Don't you say, I know, right? Back, that position flex, you know what I'm saying? They'll be looking for that, right? So I think they're going to be adding that big body nickel. I think they're looking for someone like that. And I think it might come down, I mean, for real talk, I think it might be Kay Moderno. They might give him a shot right there. Dom Hampton's also, we saw him last year as a 5th-round pick. I know they love Tyler Owens. I'm kind of curious where they're going to put him, so I'm curious about that. Maybe they're giving Percy Butler one last shot. Like, this is what we need, someone to fill this spot for us. Can you do it? Let's see what happens. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Percy Butler gets hated on. Really, you can chime in too. Percy Butler gets hated on all the time by the families. I was rooting for Percy coming. I think when Iowa State, I was like, he was a burner in college. He had a pretty high RAS score. I was rooting for him, but I don't know. I guess he's been up and down his career here
because he has so much speed, and it's not utilized because he doesn't play under control. He's running fast to nowhere a lot, and he takes bad angles. It's not quite Bakari Rambo or David Bruton Jr., but it's not good. And for a team that lacks speed, like, we're not getting any use of it. And at safety and in coverage, he leaves a lot to be desired. But speaking of speed, relative athletic score seems like something these guys really care about. That Virginia Tech kid we took in the 4th round, day one, walks in fastest player on this football team. That's the fastest player on
the RAS comp was Deshaun Jackson.
Oh my God. And it looks like it on tape. It looks like it with the ball in his hand. It looks like it on his routes. And his second gear is, we got a returner now, y'all.
Yeah.
Well, you're right. He instantly becomes the punt returner. And he's got, dare I say, because he's got Antonio Brown feet, Tyreek Hill feet, like the ones that look like you're listening to your podcast on 1.5. That's what his feet look like. They're just moving very fast. And that's how you work over in the middle of the field. I'm with you, Rhea. I was excited about that one. I had to go do a little bit of work on him just because I wasn't that familiar. There was a bunch of other receivers during the draft cycle that I think George and I thought probably were more likely there. So I guess I just didn't pay him enough attention. But yeah, they've got a type and they stick to it. Undersized guy, but can fly.
His whole profile at the combine is insane. He jumped 40 inches vertical and had like an 11-foot broad jump on top of a 4.34.
And it's 5'10". That's 40 inches at 5'10".
Yep, big hands too.
And you guys are all touching on it. Like, I think as we get to see more of Adam Peters come on and on and on, we're starting to get more data to kind of figure out what he's all about. It's all about 30 visits, right? It's all about having a RAS score. It's all about the Senior Bowl and the Shrine Bowl. Those are very important to Adam Peters. I think almost all of our draft picks hit those criteria there. And I like it, man. I think we need some more juice. We've always wanted speed. You and I were talking prior to the show. The draft equals speed. We got more speed on our with our draft picks here. And from what I gather, the Virginia Tech quarterback wasn't that great in college. They didn't really utilize Jalen Lynn that very well.
Was terrible.
Yeah, and I think Kingsbury is going to dial up screens for him. He's going to dial up reverses for him. And I'm sure you guys all saw the tape when they did the when Lane was actually selected, they basically were like Izzo, the special teams coach, dapped up everybody. He was juiced to have a punt return on our team. So it was dope, man.
Yeah. Someone that can flip a field. That guy, like a lot of receivers, we love them. They're not reverse or jet sweep receivers. Terry McLaurin is 1000% not a jet sweep receiver. He doesn't understand the run lanes and taking it horizontal and then finding it. Like, this guy knows how to run a reverse. Most of his highlight tape is reverses. Like, he's getting reverses out the wahoo, but he can challenge to get on the field as a slot right now because Debo is the number 2 opposite Terry. And who's coming in day 1 as number 1 slot? Luke McCaffrey. If that's your slot going into the season, this guy's going to challenge to get out there early and often.
So Tommy kind of touched on, he loves Crowder, but he thought that he would get caught from behind. I think Lane's kind of that young, he has the same kind of mold as Crowder, right? But the younger version of it, so it's going to have the cool upside. Yeah. And then you guys tell me, Rio and Doug, this logo was coming out. It's on social media. Did they roll this out with the that's dope, man. I love that.
It is dope.
That's cool. I like
that. It came into the hype video where Joe Theismann narrated them returning.
Oh, I retweeted and said Joey T killed this one.
Wow. That was a beautiful start to the morning. And put that logo on a hat and a t-shirt. I'll take it.
Right now. Right now, I have a closet full. Before we leave off the DN discussion, I also want to point out that in the playoffs, it looked like you were getting the Dorrance Armstrong that they thought they were getting when they signed him. He was much more effective in that Eagles game, and also they love, and he was actually playing really well before he got hurt last year, which was Jean-Baptiste, the kid that they drafted at the end from Notre Dame, I believe. Big kid with size and speed. They gave him a lot of run last year before he got hurt. So again, everybody assumed they needed edge help, and it looked like they did, but that doesn't mean they thought they needed edge help. And they obviously didn't think they needed it that bad, because it didn't seem like they came even close to addressing it.
Yeah, Newmark sounded confident when he said we're still in contact with some veteran free agents, and they could have a corresponding move. There's going to be a second wave of free agency type with June 1 things. And, when rosters get trimmed down to 53 in August, there may be something that's out there that looks better than what we could have gotten free agency or this draft this year. And before we get into the full DN conversation, I was so happy that we ended the draft with a running back. I was so happy that we ended the draft with a running back. And not just any running back. This is a running back that they met with, that they gave a top 30 visit to, they were interested in, and a running back that has great lateral movement, stop and go. He can accelerate, decelerate really well, and some of the best contact balance in the entire draft. We haven't drafted a player in 2 years under Adam Peters with a relative athletic score under 8. And for the second year in a row, we have the highest cumulative RAS score of any team in the league. So they want athletes. That speed composite of the RAS score, it's green for everybody. There's not yellow or red to be found in that top right quadrant of RAS scores for every player.
And then go look at the Cowboys draft this year, because Jerry Jones obviously hates fast people. It was yellows and reds. I don't think there was a green on the list.
Yep, the antithesis of Al Davis.
Yes.
Let's throw a couple of these real quick. East Coast Gridiron, who I love. He's a great content creator as well. He's more of like an Eagles guy. He said Virginia Tech ran the ball a ton. Kyron Jones is pretty good, but they usually drove passing when the chips were down. They'll be more of a passing team this year. So I'm a Virginia Tech guy. Big D's feeling vintage. He says he threw us $2. He said, "Watch the Redskins always and forever." Okay,
it's TTR, man. It's TTR.
TTR. Okay. And then this is also Jacory. I don't know the story behind this. I don't know if you guys caught it. JCM's nickname is Bill. I don't know where that came from.
He said he had a big ass head growing up, and they called him Little Bill, like the cartoon. You know, the cartoon is
I do that.
Nickelodeon. Yeah, that's why. That's hilarious because Bill is such a random nickname.
Yeah, it's like an older generation nickname. It's kind of hilarious that way.
But when you dig into that kid, you start to see. I mean, that was not a 7th rounder, right? If he didn't have to sit out last year because of eligibility reasons,
he's about to get busy.
And also, he knew he wasn't going to play last year. He couldn't. Went to every meeting, went to every practice,
worked his ass off.
That's right, and just waited. I've had a couple of people that I reached out to since the draft told me he was probably a 3rd rounder and would have sat right in the middle of that running back class somewhere around the RJ Harvey range if he'd have had a full year last year.
I've had limited exposure to him, Rio. I don't know if you got to the film yet, but I'm still trying to work on that. I've watched some of the highlights, but I'm just excited to see some jump cuts, guys. I haven't seen jump cuts and lateral movements from my running back in several years. Like, I'm looking forward to the guy to make someone miss in the backfield. Like, Brian Robinson doesn't necessarily do that. So
yeah, I ain't seen a jump cut since Washed AP, who ran for 1,000 over here with us. I ain't seen a jump cut since then. And my boy Jalen put me on the JCM really early in the draft process. Ever since then, we've been floating that name around as if they decide to skip running back until the end. And what did they do? They skipped out on running back, and they got a guy that they not only liked and were interested and met with, they got a guy that they've scouted pretty thoroughly. He had like a run to close out his final season where he had like almost 600 yards in a 3-game span. Like,
and the only game he played for Arizona, he had 13 carries for like 116 yards and a touchdown in that one game in Arizona.
And he does not have tread on the tires.
That's good for a college running back for sure. And Doug, let me throw one thing real quick. You and I talked about the whole draft cycle. We had so many NFL guys that's kind of on here have this conversation. We talked about if you don't get a edge rusher in the 1st round or maybe even the top of the 2nd, you're gone. You'll be chasing it throughout the process. I think that Adam Peters do that, right? I think he was like, I could do Connolly. I could do Izaraku. I think in the offensive line is going to be the smarter call, big picture, where it's going to punt, right? So they kind of had going. I think they're smart enough now, that down vision enough. We're like, all right, we're going to kind of like have a plan A, B, or C. And they basically already have talked to Von Miller or Zadarius Smith or Matthew Judon. They kind of have that in their back pocket. And like, you know what? We're going this path instead and pick Connolly instead.
Well, and if you take, there were quick off the top of my head, I can think of 4 DNs that immediately come in and are 3-down players on this team. Like the Ezerakus of the world, maybe Mike Green, maybe obviously Stewart and Michael Williams early. Well, a lot of these other guys were going to be situational pass rushers. So do you want to take a guy at 29 that maybe, is in on 1 or 2 downs a series, or a left tackle who is going to play every snap of every game for the next foreseeable future? I also can see, like, when they were kind of weighing those decisions as well, like, yeah, I'll take the every down player over a situational pass rusher because they just weren't there.
Rio, let me throw a question at you, bro, if you don't mind. Yes, so sir. A lot of the argument, there's 2 different camps, right? There's some people that are like, we got to get a running back no matter what. We need more juice. We need a home run hitter. There's another camp that's saying, hey, our offensive line didn't provide holes for our running backs. And now that we have an offensive line, Brian Robinson's he's going to have a bounce back season. Are you of the former or the latter of that group?
So there's always a hyperbolic fallacy that this fan base throws around at the end of a season. I remember a word where people said Jahan Dotson was all open, and he was open the whole season in 2023, but Eric Bieniemy's offense didn't get, so he was not open the entire 2023. And now the new one for this season is it was completely the line's fault, and Brian Robinson was not the problem. It was a combination, and Brian Robinson's vision is not the best. He runs toward contact, and he finds like a magnet to the ass of his offensive lineman. So that all is a factor as to why he doesn't get it. We do need a change of pace, dynamic running back. I'm glad we got a running back with some juice. JCM is the fastest running back in the room. We're not sitting here saying a 7th rounder is going to come in and start right away. But I promise you, if there's a backfield in this NFL right now where a 7th rounder can come in and steal carries from people immediately. It's this one because we have a room full of complementary backs and we don't have a lead dog in the room.
Our buddy Derek Brown, I think it was, George, I saw either earlier today or yesterday, said if there's any 7th rounder that can get it done like Bucky Irving style last year, come in like after the first 4 or 5 games and get it going, it's that kid that we picked up because Brian Robinson's not fast. Eckler, who knows what Eckler will be next year. I mean, eventually he's going to fall off a cliff, and that will be that. I think he was pretty good last year, but there's no reason to think that will be the same way for a whole nother season. So I'm with you guys. I mean, talk about I would imagine every running back in the draft was trying to get to Washington somehow, just because there is not much better of a place to be than them right now as a running back.
And you're sharing a backfield with Jaden Daniels, and the threat of him pulling it is going to open up opportunities for you, a la Alfred Morris running for 1,600 as an undrafted rookie back in 2012. You know what I'm saying? Like that thing opens up fast. Not only that, we have a Swiss Army knife part-time running back in our new wide receiver that we just acquired, Deebo Samuel. This is a gold mine for running back, undrafted or drafted, to come in and make something. We don't have an 1,000-yard running back. We have a bunch of guys with injury histories and no clear lead dog in the room. He was the MVP of the East-West Shrine Bowl, 97 yards.
He put that up. That's absolutely right.
Yeah, like 97 yards and 2 touchdowns in the game. A guy that could have easily mailed it in after he was ineligible to play this year. He stuck with the grind. He works hard. I love the guy. You hear him speak. You hear the passion. If you saw the call he had with Adam Peters, it was beautiful, man. His whole draft party went nuts, and they have a plan for literally the only player we drafted that may not have a role on the offense or defense in 2025, maybe the 6th round pick. And I think he could be a huge component in special teams. Out of UCLA, because he's fast. He's built like a safety, but he plays backer. But he's the fastest linebacker in the entire draft. And if anybody knows a Bruin, it's Adam Peters and Ken Norton Jr.
That's right. And they played him a lot by the line at UCLA, and that I don't think that's what they envision here at all. I think they want him playing off ball, tracking tight ends. Not this year, but eventually I can see the vision where the room is Frankie Louvu, McGee from last year, and this kid Medrano, and all of these guys are running 4.5s, 4.5s, and they just fly all over the field. And you can see as they're bulking up the front 4, front 5, whatever it'll be, the faster you can get on the back end. And to me, that's what they showed this year by picking up so much beef in free agency up there. They were getting pushed around last year. You could tell they were not interested in that again this year.
Yeah, they find the football too. Him and Trey Amos, and Medrano and Amos, they force turnovers. You know, one of the biggest things this team lacked was not forcing turnover. Look at what Philadelphia does. We only committed 18 turnovers in the whole season last year. About 11 of them came against Philadelphia. That's not going to win you the NFC Championship. You know what the biggest difference is versus the Lions? They still scored a bunch and got a bunch of yards on us, but forcing 5 turnovers is almost unforgivable and impossible.
No matter what you do. Absolutely. And then one thing I want to say, I love Trey Amos, right? So going into the draft, we did a little draft special, kind of went through all the different cornerbacks, looked at Zariah Thomas, we looked at Trey Amos, looked at Siobhan Revel. And, Siobhan Revel has that, like the height, weight, speed. You get really excited about that. But in regard to scheme fit, Trey Amos was the one. Like he plays a Dan Quinn defense. He plays zone match and man match coverage where he's like off of the wide receiver, kind of looking at the quarterback. He actually was 4th on all of college football with 13 pass breakups. And I think he's going to fit into our offense our defense very, very well. And then one other thing that I noticed was he basically, when they're shifting, when they're basically like, let's say there's like a different crossover or a slant between 2 wide receivers, he communicated well and transitioned very well, where Benjamin St-Juste would leave somebody wide open and leave a big old gap right there. So Trey Amos is going to be a great. I'm excited about him by more than anybody else. I'm pumped about him.
Same.
Super high on him. Tommy G makes a great point. I mentioned this a couple of times as the draft was ending up, that one of the one of the only good things about only having 5 draft picks is that it should have made getting priority undrafted free agents more just easier because they got a better chance of making the team because they only had 5 draft picks. That safety from Jacksonville State, I keep hearing incredible things about. Like, if this is a Power 5 guy down in the SEC, he still would have balled out and everybody would have known about him. That might be one of the bigger steals of the whole thing in a couple of years from now, just because, again, he's got that height, speed, size that you're looking for at safety. And again, I think, George, maybe it was you that brought up earlier. Let's not forget Tyler Owens from last year, who they were really high on. Just couldn't find his way on the field.
Yeah, exactly right. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, George. And I got something for you after this one.
I was going to ask you a question, actually. Have you dived into the undrafted free agents at all yet? Have you looked into them? Like, I'm trying to find the names on my phone right now. They're paying an offensive guard or offensive tackle like $275,000. So, like, whoever the hell that is, he's going to make a team. Like, I don't know what his deal is or what's going on there. So that was kind of eye-popping to me.
I know the corner from Florida State and the Jackson State kid because we met with him a bunch. And Cypress and and Carlin Vigors well.
Yeah.
But I was going to ask y'all because I have a feeling about something. I think the team almost had to extend an invite that Sean's brother gave to come to rookie mini camp. It's a phenomenal story and stuff like that. But my opinion on the matter was I kind of want the team to stay away from that because fans are not going to have a good time when they release or waive Sean Taylor's brother. Sean Taylor's brother can play. He's very undersized, but he's a turnover forcer. He finds the football. I think his best way to stick around in this league is to become Jeremy Reeves. And there are a lot of safeties and DBs that we're bringing into here. We didn't sign them to an undrafted free agent contract. We're bringing them in for a tryout basis, undrafted rookie minicamp, May 8th through the 11th. I don't want people to be weird about it. Like people like let them have the number 21.
They will, unfortunately.
He should start. Someone literally told me on my stream yesterday he should make the team and they should have him on the team in some aspect just because of who he is. And I'm like, no, we're not there as a franchise anymore. I'm sorry.
And there's no ceremonial participation awards to get on the team. Like, I'm happy they invited him to the team. I'm happy that I want him to give his best. If he earns it, earn it off merit. You know what I'm saying? If he makes a team, more power to him, right? But, like, you're right. If he gets cut, we shouldn't be weird about it by any means. I agree with that. Ellison said,
to your point, they didn't give him a contract. I think that's important for people to understand because I saw a couple people that were like, "Oh, they signed him. This is awesome." No, he got it. Yeah, he didn't get a contract offer other places, from my understanding. He just got invited. Somebody I saw somebody the other day, Terry.
Because someone said he signed with the Eagles. Yeah.
Well, you know,
or whatever.
The Eagles go crazy over the Commanders, man. Those guys don't got nothing better to do in their days. But yes, it's an invite. I'm totally with you, Rio. I hope the kid catches on somewhere. Maybe he's fantastic. He had like an 80-some% tackling percentage last year. I mean, I'm not saying the kid can't play, but it's too much pressure for anybody. Like, I don't understand. To your point, it feels like it would be suffocating under this fan base for that young man who is not a draftable player.
Right.
What's he supposed to do? Like, or again, that I don't want to get into Shedeur Sanders conversation, but it's tough to draft a backup that's going to get more attention than anybody else on the team.
It comes with a lot.
That's why he fell. Yeah, like this kid, Sean Taylor's brother, like that is a lot of weight to carry, not only just for a young man, but just it would be
and then fans are going to unfairly come for Adam Peters and company,
or the next safety that's not playing right. Get him out of there
when he's waived after rookie mini camp or something and doesn't get an invite to training camp or something like that. They're going to lose their mind. And honestly, I wanted to stay away from stuff like that because we move in different as an organization now. And I see fans get weird about people like Jimmy Moreland and Kelvin Harmon. This is the beloved younger brother of one of our famous and most revered Redskins of all time. I wanted him to just catch on. Like when I heard he caught on with the Eagles, I was like, good for him. He doesn't have to live in that shadow, and fans aren't going to be weird. I'm wishing the best for him. I hope he makes the team, but please be normal if he does
Please
it.
be normal is a great
That's
message to
so
get
true.
out there.
He
But
has a tall hill to climb.
what I'll say though is I think we run a professional organization now. I think Dan Snyder would have gave him 36 or 21 and like hyped him up and made him get on the team or something like that.
Made
Said
him
y'all
drafted
cannot
in the
cut him.
fifth round.
He would have
Yeah,
told him y'all
and
cannot
you
really
don't cut
play.
exactly. I think Adam Peters is business mindset. He's gonna do what he needs to do, and he's gonna do it the proper way, right? He might be like, "Thank you," you know. Even if he does release him, he'll say it like he'll do it gently if that makes any damn
Hey,
sense.
look, get a little video or something on the way out. Something kind.
Yeah,
Nice little gesture.
Good luck in the future, kind of, you know, something like that. I think I'll do something like that. And plus, Peters doesn't have any attachment to him. You know what I'm saying? He's a GM. Like, he wasn't here during the old Redskin regime. He's just a scout. He's just someone that's overseeing the team. So I don't think there's going to be. I think from the Commanders' perspective, we're going to be okay. As a fan base, we got to be better. He's got to be mature about it. That's all.
Shout out Gabe.
Mm-hmm.
Rio, where does the offseason as it stands right now position this team in the NFC East? How much did we close the gap from the Eagles at all?
Yeah, I think this team got better this offseason. The offense that was already top 3 added Laramie Tunzel, Josh Connerly Jr., Debo Samuel, and if we can get this Jalen Lane kid in this running back in the 7th on the field at some point, we added more team speed. We added more dynamic ability at the running back position and at our skill position. And the biggest thing people aren't talking about is the year 2 leap for Jaden Daniels. Everybody's talking and wishing a sophomore slump on the guy. There's a world where he's slump proof because he over prepares himself. He over downloads preparation, and the VR is already loaded up with all the opponents for next year. There's a world where he's in the MVP conversation, and that's the world that I'm living in right now. We are chasing the Philadelphia Eagles, and no one repeats in this division. So we are going to be up there with them to win the division this year. And we're trying to get back to the NFC Championship and see where it shakes this year.
And Rio, you said the right thing, but I thought you were going a different direction with it. You said year 2. What I like about this is we have the same coaching staff. We have year 2 with Cliff Kingsbury and Jaden Daniels again. We didn't lose anybody, right?
Continuity.
We're hitting the ground running coming to preseason. Like Jaden might not even play during the preseason because he already knows the offense. He doesn't need to, right? So walk in week 1 and be ready to go, and just kind of have some wrinkles already, docked and ready to go by week 1.
Well, for Cliff, think about the offense Cliff had to call last year and how much of the playbook he probably had to scrap just because of how quickly they had to get the ball out of Jaden's hand or else he was moving, because the offensive line, whether through injury or just lack of talent, didn't keep him clean a whole lot. I got to imagine there's at least a quarter of the playbook that will look different this year as the quarterback gets more time to operate in the pocket.
Oh yeah, and like we have to really cherish this season because we're gonna get picked apart after this season. If this season is another good season in sequence to last year, our front office and our coaching staff is going to be picked apart. So we have to. I'm not calling it an all-in season because I don't like that, but this could be the last time we see this staff and front office as presently constructed. So we got to get after it this year.
And they've treated it accordingly. I mean, they went for a team where the talent level on the roster when AP got here, the floor was so low, and they had to climb so high. And of course, part of that is that Jaden Daniels, they just hit a rocket on that thing, and he makes everybody better on both sides of the ball just by I think just by his sheer love of playing the game. I think you can tell just rubs off on everybody that he comes in contact with. I think they saw what they had and said, you know what? We don't need Deuce put up what the draft looked like this year. If you include all the free agents, you kind of alluded to it earlier, Rio. It looks incredible. Like when you stick Marshawn Lattimore into the 4 hole and Laramie Tunsil into the 3rd and Debo down at 5, and then you look at your other guys and you're like, whoa, this was a slam dunk. So I'm not as mad, I think, as some people for them going. The Rams isn't the right way because they gave up all their first, but a lot of times they were like, hell with these draft picks. We're ready to go now. That's what they did this year, and I dig it.
You've never seen an organization from top to bottom and in so many facets flip upside down the way this organization did as soon as that dweeb got out of the top of the organization.
The documentary on how they did this will be just as fascinating as the documentary on how Dan Snyder blew an impossible thing to blow up.
I need a biopic for that too. I need a lot. I need action. I need actors playing it. I need a dramatized HBO series about the worst owner in pro sports history.
The NFL teams print money, and it's
impossible to ruin.
It's impossible to drop it. He dropped the ball. So Elson brought up a good point. I like what he said here because we were talking about coaches. We're talking about GMs and front office staff as well. Newbark was interviewing for the Jets, I believe, this last offseason anyway, so he almost left. So
and the Jaguars,
he might be gone. And then I haven't watched this yet, guys. And Tommy, talk to you about the chat. I'd never seen this before. Taylor made. Is it on Netflix or something? Or I haven't seen the story.
Watch it on YouTube.
All right, I want to check it out. This is the story of Sean Taylor and Gabe Taylor. I want to check that out. Sounds good.
Yeah, it's really good, man. But this is probably I hate to put this type of thing out there in the air, but there's a team called the New York Giants who's probably going to fire their coach and their GM at the end of the year. They could be looking for that Newmark Cliff combo, man.
Oh no! Damn, okay.
Jackson Dart, who they're calling JD12. That's cute, by the way. I don't know if that's enough to entice our guys, but a nice paycheck in New York City could do it. But for now, we got our guys, and that's all we got to worry about, and we'll cross that path when we get there.
Funny side story. I'm sitting there at Buffalo Wild Wings. I'm watching the draft. I'm watching, I'm hear my boys be having a drink. And I'm right at the table right next to me is a Giants fan, right? And they trade back up in the first round. He's like, yo, Shedeur Sanders. He's all hyped up. And I was like, dude, it's gonna be Jackson Dart. Watch. He's so pissed about this. And it was Jackson Dart. We're like, yeah. We're clapping in his face, laughing at him. He was so embarrassed. He was so mad about that Jackson Dart pick. They're hyping it up now, but they didn't want him.
The NFC got better this weekend.
They did.
The division.
The Giants, I hate to say, the Giants had a pretty nice draft. The Cowboys, didn't they get both Ezraku and Revel? I mean, two guys I was really high on. So
the Eagles always draft Campbell fell to them.
You said, George, you saw my guy Shmuel Munden.
Where'd he go?
With the Eagles, of course.
Oh my God, Georgia. Yeah.
The Browns are such a weird organization. They have a 5-headed QB. I'm not gonna call it monster because I don't know what to call it, but it's Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco, Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders, and Deshaun Watson. What are they doing?
I want to hear a conversation.
They drafted Kirk Cousins and then RG3.
Yeah,
Jesus.
and
like the exact opposite of what
it was the complete opposite. And then they took Quinshon Judkins, my guy. I like the fit there. He stays in Ohio. Then they took Sampson later.
I know. So greedy, man. Come on now.
Those two I actually like really well. If you told me we could have walked away with Judkins,
that's a great combo.
I would not have been upset about that. The quarterback thing is a little but hey, listen, I guess they're very analytical driven. If they want to say that the more shots you got hitting at quarterback, but I'll just say this: if we're looking at numbers, I think the numbers fall from 80% that you play however many games in your career drop to 30% by the time you hit the middle of the first round. If Shedeur Sanders becomes successful in the 5th round, he'll be one of only a handful that have ever done it. So, I mean, good luck to him. I haven't got anything against him. I don't think any of this was his fault. I just think it's crazy.
Imagine being a defensive coordinator of an NFL team and you have to go to a mic because your son is prank calling draft prospects and they got the number from your books and stuff.
Jesus.
And nothing's even going to happen.
Yeah.
I'd have thought they might have won. Also, that came out of that I didn't realize is that the NFL sends each one of those guys a burner phone for those GM calls. That's not their personal phone. Which I didn't know that before PhoneGate here. Which I thought was interesting.
Those kids were getting all kinds of people. I saw Isaiah Bond. Someone gave him a call too. He ended up going undrafted.
Yeah, the tight end from Michigan got one.
Yeah, Tyler Warren from one too actually. Yeah, Penn State.
I don't understand the people that say it wasn't a big deal. It was a big fucking deal. I'd have been pissed if you did that to me.
This generation and recording themselves do dumb shit will never fail to amaze me. Let me record myself doing it. Your dad is a NFL defensive coordinator. Come
So
on.
stupid. Yeah.
I grew up in a generation where we didn't tell anybody anything, and now you're right. You're like, well, I just robbed a car over here on stream, and you're like, well, how'd I get busted for this? Well, maybe you tell the world. All right, fellas. Well, it was a fantastic weekend for the draft. Only 5 picks. I think all of them were successful picks. I think they had one of the better drafts. George, have you noticed how the grades have come out? Not that they're overly important at this point, but I know you've been looking at them.
Yeah, they've been pretty good. They've been up and down, right? It's like people either love us and give like a B plus or like a C plus. I think the only knock is that we didn't have enough picks, right? Having just 5 picks, people are like, we wish we had more, maybe potentially traded back. But for the most part, people that know ball, they're like, you know what? Conley was a great pick. Amos was a great pick. They were happy with it. I mean, the knock is we should have got an edge from some of the criticisms that we got. Other than that, we're in good shape.
Yeah, that's what I've been seeing for the most part too. But I've been seeing people talk about this organization is going to compete for a championship very soon. Like, I'm hearing the Kuipers and some of these people like, look, I love what they're doing. They have a plan, they're sticking to it, and their team's getting much more athletic. Before we get out of here, I have a non-football question for y'all real quick. Where do you two, this is big stuff right here, man.
Okay.
Where do you two stand on the one gorilla versus 100?
I love that.
Yes.
I love that. I love that. So it's been going around. I'm glad you appreciate that, real, because I've been following it the entire time. At first, going into it, I thought we would beat the gorillas up. I thought 100 versus the gorilla, but then after diving into it, the gorilla would rock our world, man. I was seeing like
strong.
I was seeing signs where they have like 18, like 100, like pressure in their hands, and they rip our limbs off. Like it's. I think the gorilla would win.
The first guy that got his arms ripped off, everybody else is running, so it doesn't really matter. My question is, and I've always floated out the opposite. How many 11-year-olds does it take to take you down?
Oh man, that's a way better question. But like the gorilla question's hard because I'm thinking I can't not think of King Kong when I think of this. But my friend was like, no, one random regular run-of-the-mill gorilla, but still they have like super soldier serum strength. Like he's gonna rip someone in half, and I don't think they get fatigued the way we get fatigued. 100 people is a lot, but 100 weaponless people, like, what are we really about to do with this animal that's gonna toss a bunch of us at a time?
Yeah.
Did you watch that Chimp Empire on Netflix?
Oh, I have not.
No, I don't know what that is. Yeah.
Watch them tear each other apart limb from limb and like eating their faces off. And those are like not the big gorillas. And then tell me how many. But Rio, I still want to know, how many 11-year-olds does it take to take you down?
11? Like, I think I'm running through a good amount of. I'm back in the gym too. Hold up, like my son is 14, so I'm thinking 3 years back. It would have took a good amount of them. It would have took a few. It would have took quite a few. A couple of 11-year-olds were not taking me down. Like I'm
10, over under 10.
Push is right around.
Don't get embarrassed by saying you get beat up by 10, 11-year-olds, though.
Hey man, man, over. I'm taking the over, bro, because I think my man father's strength at some point, I'm one hitting quitting.
I'm about to say exactly right.
I land cleanly,
grabbing them, throwing them against each other.
I land cleanly, I might be catching a case. So it's gonna take more than 10. I'm sorry, bro. If we're talking about regular sized 11-year-old little kids, it's gonna be 10 plus because I'm knocking a few out, but I'm gonna get fatigue after a few.
That's what I'm worried about. Running out of steam. Yeah, 100%.
Oh, come for the football, stay for the fight stories.
Love it, man.
Fellas, this was the best, Rio. We always love having you on, buddy. Thank you, because I know that you stay busy. George will be back Wednesday and Friday. And hail to the Commanders. Thanks everybody for watching.
Always. Let's go.